Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We are waiting for a few more people to join. Meantime, we also have Coach Vishal with us, and we recently collaborated with Coach Vishal, and it was a lovely experience. And I was like, I have to have you here for a webinar because there's so much to like. Even for me, I got to know so much about MMA, and I told you this when I was talking to you. So it was wonderful because not a lot of people know about it, and to be very honest, at 50, having so much, doing so much, and training so many people is just very inspiring. So I think
Absolutely.
people will get to know something or the other from this webinar, I guess.
Certainly. So also when I was back in 2024, the story how I got started with Decode Age. Um, we were looking for something because at that I was around 48, almost 49 then, and doing the same things, but the oomph wasn't there anymore. So my student and I, and he's very good with research. We sat down. I think we took over almost like a couple of weeks, over 10 days, and then we narrowed down to Decode Age. And the first supplement I started with was NMN, and
That's a
that
hero
was
product.
correct.
That's our
and
hero.
and it was phenomenal because, again, I've done back in the day, I've done some supplements, protein powder, citrulline, um, so on and so forth, but I usually did everything with food, so I really didn't do a lot of supplements as such. But now, turning 48, trying to compete and at that higher level at Asian Championship,
Hmm.
and you're competing with some of the best athletes in the world. So it was required, and because I usually didn't at the time take supplements, and or it had been a while, it kind of it started working. I think in about 5 or 6 weeks, it started working. I could see the difference, and I've said this before. It wasn't like a peak and a valley, It was. It
Hmm.
was. I could feel the improvement, the endurance, and uh, and it stayed. It was there. It just didn't come, and I was. It's not like having that one cup of coffee and then later with
Yeah.
sugar, and later having that crash, and so it consistently it stayed. I could recover fast. I was waking up in the morning. Sure, there was body pain. There was other challenges, but I was still able to recover
Perform.
well, which was
Hmm.
which was uh, which was which was very imperative, because then the performance came. So I was able to perform at that level. So yeah, so that's how I got started. And I mean, anything aside, it is because it happened to me. That is the reason I'm so passionately able to put it forward to anybody I meet. My mother
Yeah.
is is on Longevate now. My brother is on it, and so
Yeah. You
because
mentioned.
so I it's tried and tested, and it was not a word of mouth as far as I'm or my family or some of people I know who I've always already recommended it to. And so yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely, it worked is the reason I speak about it. So
Absolutely. Wonderful. Actually, Coach, we have a couple of people here, and I think today's webinar is not more about you than Decode Age. So let's just begin with it now. So,
absolutely.
first of all, thank you everybody who's there on the call. Thank you so much, Coach, for agreeing to do this. Well, today's session is very special because we have someone with us who's truly redefines what healthy aging looks like. Coach Vishal is the head coach of India MMA team, and even at 50 plus, he continues to train, perform, inspire with incredible discipline, strength, and energy in a world where people often associate aging with slowing down. Coach Vishal is proving the exact opposite. So today we will be talking about fitness, mindset, resilience, discipline, and what it really takes to stay strong and physically and mentally grow when you're growing older. So thank you so much, Coach Vishal, for agreeing to do this with us.
Okay, pleasure.
So quickly, we will go with the very first question, which is even the title of our webinar, which is you're 50 plus and head coach of Indian MMA team. So, and you're still outperforming men half your age. So, how are you doing this?
So, uh, outperforming people half my age isn't, it's not really about trying to get in there and be faster than them, or trying to outsprint, let's say, a 20-year-old, or do better with them physically or any which way. It's about competing or being smart. Uh,
Yeah.
so when we are young, we kind of treat our body like it's an ATM, right? We
Yeah.
keep using and withdrawing, and our energy, and thinking that that is limitless. But when you come to 51, then you start thinking, because the approach is more built on, let you could say, cellular optimization and kind of ruthless efficiency. So I don't just train hard. I have to prioritize how my body recovers,
Yeah.
at different levels. I have to focus heavily on, try to get as much information and focus heavy on biohacking, deep recovery protocols. I'm very big on recovery protocols, and targeting our cellular health, um, with proper and researched supplementation. Um, like I mentioned before, something like NMN, it keeps my energy production like a machine gun, no. And then the scientific approach to longevity with it's decades of movement, knowing exactly what to explore, when to conserve energy, and when to get a version of, and when we get a version of fitness that just doesn't survive in a cage, in a ring, on the training mats, but it kind of dominates it. So it's about building, uh, building a vehicle that does not rust. No, so you keep it under proper care. You do the right things as they are required. You have a car, you get it serviced on time. You don't leave it out in the element. You cover it, so on and so forth. So pretty much that is what it is.
Lovely, lovely. So I want, before we go ahead, our very Gen Z social media manager has mentioned us. Can you please put down the chashma below because it's not aesthetically
Sorry.
pleasing apparently. Okay. Okay. Simply moving on to the next question. Um, so have you ever coached someone, since you have coached so many people? So have you ever coached someone whose transformation genuinely inspired you or became an inspiration for like personally you? And what was that journey like?
Um, See, in a lot of sport, but in our sport specifically, we see a lot of incredible physical changes all the time. It could you could be doing it for competition, you could be doing it
Hmm.
for learning a skill, self-defense, fitness, whatever it may be, all of the above. But the transformations that truly inspire me are the ones where the control tower, the mind, it completely shifts. I have trained with elite athletes, and I've trained elite athletes who have gone on to win, become world champions, Asia Pacific champions, so on and so forth. And standing on international podiums with the gold medal around their necks, watching fighters push through extreme weight cuts, which is a different battle on altogether. Um, and going through brutal training camps, then we have injuries, we have self doubt, to, that's on the path to what we are trying to achieve, which is be the absolute best in the world, and it never gets old. But the inspiration comes from the everyday person that can show up with discipline. I've
Hmm.
had people walk into my academy completely broken physically because they made the wrong choice, or they trained a certain way, and and then they have kind of totally changed around. Um and watching them transition, into the right uh, uh, athlete with the right protocol, which creates a different level of thinking and confidence, and they can handle intense pressure and kind of reclaim their vitality, so to speak, which is just as powerful. So those journeys remind me that, especially combat sports, aren't just about fighting someone else.
Yeah.
They're also it's kind of a tool to conquer, uh, all our demons, all everything, to put us where we imagine ourselves to be in terms of goals.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, since as even you have mentioned that you have trained people across generations, so what key difference do you see between today's young generation, let's say Gen X, Gen Z, or the older generation?
That's a great question. Well, the differences are pretty stark, and they boil down to information versus execution. The, the older generation, I guess I can call myself that now. So we grew up with a kind of a, it's hard work, it's grit, that kind of a mindset. And if you told us to do push-ups, we wouldn't say why, we would say how many, something like that. And
Hmm.
uh, had great mental toughness and resilience and high tolerance for discomfort. But this also came with a lack of awareness, which, because information is so easily available now, it wasn't like that back in the day. Um, it was very different. Even in competition, we were, for example, like when we competed, we would compete on cement floors. We did not have mats unless you were doing something like wrestling or judo. So in any striking competitions, we were pretty much competing on concrete. So it was a different mindset, different infrastructure, and everything else, and everything around us in terms of information. The generation now is exact kind of opposite. So obviously, because of everything nowadays, they are very well informed. Um, they, to get information and to put it to use is very simple for them. Not simple, but it's very easier compared to before. They could they could research about biohacking, about supplements, about training, um, new trends that work, be it recovery or anything else. But because they have this whole platform giving them this infinite information at their fingertips, they struggle with patience. They want, like, it's instant gratification, like,
Yeah.
of sorts. So, and they can possibly get easily distracted with the next trendy fitness, you know, thing that comes along, which may not work. So,
Hmm.
but my job as a coach is to bridge the gap. I give younger crowd the discipline to stay on course. I also learn myself every time something new that is effective that comes along, and if it
Hmm.
makes sense, we certainly implement it, and then we kind of try to mix and match. So if I have somebody from the older generation, um, we try to incorporate what is there for them in those terms. And instead of, without going training just hard and not smart, breaking our bodies, not being able to recover. So that, I would think, would be the most important, or the most immediate difference.
That's a very good difference you have mentioned, I think, because I can relate to that. But coming back to the point of aging, in your journey, was there a moment when you realized that aging is more about lifestyle than age itself? Because you had such a ups and downs. You have seen everything, so you'll be the best person to answer that.
A lot has to do with lifestyle. Nowadays, I'll just go off topic a little bit. Nowadays,
Yeah.
you every second person has diabetes or high blood pressure or both. So you get one, you'll definitely get the other. With that being said, like it wasn't one single aha moment, but rather a gradual knowledge and realization watching others over the years. So I've been to reunions, or I've run into people I went to school with or I knew when we were kids, and at 40 plus, many of them looked and moved like they were already in the you know latter years of their life post 50,
Yeah.
and they complained about backaches, issues that come, low energy,
Hmm.
metabolic issues, and treating it like it's kind of there to stay, right?
Hmm.
And that is what comes with getting older. So at the same time, I was personally on the mats, in the ring, in the cage, every day sparring or doing pad work, with athletes, high level athletes, international medalists, national medalists, professionals, amateurs, what have you. And I was feeling good. Right. Again, like I said much before, I think it was the first question or the second. I wasn't trying to outcompete them. I wasn't
Sure.
trying to be faster but um, at the same time, I was able to sustain in a very productive manner what I was trying to contribute to their knowledge and to their training. Right. So, long time back, when I had already incorporated this, that's when it hit me that age isn't just a number, and we don't have to really go down that road that mostly everybody does. It's a process of decay that we accelerate through poor choices, so lifestyle
Yeah.
choices, right? If we stop kind of moving or not working out, we start getting stiff, right? So there'll be a time where even getting off the bed or off a chair is like a task, right? Every angle. So if this is my knee, every angle that changes, it kind of it clicks or it hurts or both.
Yeah.
So if we start eating right, uh, then our metabolism is good. But if we are eating junk, then it stalls, right? So we need to keep challenging our minds, right? And if we don't, the brain kind of slows down. Same goes for the
Yeah.
body. Our chronological age is obviously fixed.
Hmm.
It's kind of stamped and written all over. But biological age is something that we can, with our good habits, negotiate um, the quality of life, so to speak. So there you go.
Lovely. That's a very nice, great way to put it. And since you have mentioned people with diabetes, hypertension, and this is a question I actually wanted to ask you, that many people are dealing with diabetes, hypertension, joint issues, and they feel stuck and assume they cannot become that active again, because I have seen that with my parents as well. So, what do you say to them? Where to start? How to move?
Um, See, if okay, let me put it this way. So I'm running, and I fall and I get injured, and I choose to not do anything about it. Obviously, I'm kind of giving an example.
Yeah.
Then either it'll if it's not something, if it's something very minor, fine, it goes away. But so things that are not minor will stay, and if they're not attended to, they will only get worse, right? Lifestyle is one of the biggest things that we are we are not thinking about. We are so life has become so fast that we are not kind of taking care of ourselves. We're either working or commuting from work, or we are always doing something but taking care of ourselves. So it is imperative that that we start doing research. On a foundation level, a lot of things work for everybody. There will be certain things that may not work, but at the end of the day, if you are suffering from diabetes, you gotta start making those changes and following a healthy lifestyle where you're able to kind of start improving your health, because after a certain point in time, your organs are going to start suffering. And so it is best to not be lazy about it, so to speak, and not to procrastinate, but to get on a program, whatever it may be, whatever your protocol may be. Consult the right fine, you consult a doctor, you consult the right nutritionist, you start exercising. Nobody's asking you to go train like a Olympian or a world medalist, but we owe it to ourselves that we take. There's nobody else responsible for us. We got to do it on our own. So
Yeah.
best is to get on that track and start with it. There is no other way about it. The more you wait, the worse it's going to get. And it's like a lot of times, a lot of kids will study one night before the exam, right? Doesn't work out pretty well unless you have a photographic memory. So it's one of those
Yeah.
cases. So it's always best to not kind of get carried away and forget about it, or not be so scared that I'll get on medication. Yeah, for some time you do have to, depending on the gravity of what you are into. And
Right.
slowly you can wean off everything. Lifestyle
Hmm.
needs to be robust, it needs to be disciplined, and then you
Hmm.
can accomplish everything you set out to accomplish. Anybody can do it. All you need is discipline, determination, perseverance, consistency.
So since you spoke about discipline, in your experience, where do real people and real physical limitation ends and excuses begin when it comes to health and fitness?
uh, well, what happens is, um, there is levels to everything that you do. So we reach a certain level, and it kind of surfaces out, and then we're not improving, right? So when that happens, it could be a situation where um, we need to add something to it, or we need to remove something, or both, right? So once you make a proper protocol, be it training, be it whatever you're training for, your training, the recovery, your discipline, your schedule, slowly but surely, everything kind of falls in place. It's a matter of time. Now, we were talking earlier about Gen Z, and I spoke something about instant gratification. Nothing will happen with shortcuts and instant gratification. Those are one of those things, peaks and valleys. Especially at my age, I need something which is more consistent, right? So I would, discipline being one of the biggest things, and follow through with everything that we have set in terms of our protocols. It works wonders.
So the biggest confusion today that we see is around diet, protein, supplement. What does your personal approach is towards, like, to stay strong and active and injury free, because you really train every single day?
Uh, so the philosophy is simple: cut through the noise and focus on high impact fundamentals. Right. Today's market is flooded with you have this diet, you have that diet, and God knows so many programs that are complicated, and magic pills. And it's one of those, if fitness came in a pill, we wouldn't be having this conversation, if it was that kind of a magic, right?
Yeah.
Well, I take that back, because for me personally, I know this is not about, for me personally, launch weight and NMN has worked wonders from Decode Age, even though you said not to, but forgive me for that. So, with all that, issues occur. Again, we need to
Yeah.
go back to knowledge, collecting knowledge, understanding it, and then trying to work with it, right?
Hmm.
So, a lot of things are not kind of possible with a crazy schedule, but there's also a lot of non-negotiables, right? At my age, my body naturally fights to lose muscle mass, right? And to combat that and to repair the damage from intense coaching and training. Um, so my markers for my, let's say, protein or everything has to be, intake has to be good, clean, and at whatever level that I need it to be. So uh, that's beyond standard nutrition, right? So in this case, I treat supplementation as a precise science for me, or people my age, to target, our aging on a cellular level. It's not a random, pop a vitamin and that's it, right? So I focus on mitochondrial health to keep my energy levels constant, high but constant. I use, obviously, I've already mentioned what I use for cellular and muscular endurance.
Yeah.
But I also prioritize my gut health with and systematic inflammation. We try to manage. I try to manage that. If my inflammation level is low, my joints stay pain free, and the recovery becomes much faster. And so you can, that automatically results into performance, right?
Hmm.
The more you are out due to injury, obviously the less you are present and the less you grow, regardless of me as a coach, me as a person who trains myself, or if I was, still in my early, even though I compete still, at my peak when I was much younger. So
Right. Well, lastly, I think we are getting a lot of questions by the people who are here on the call, and also we have
mhm.
questions people have asked during registration. So I will ask my last question to you from my end, which is, if someone had to close the webinar right now, and remember just one message from you, what would that be?
uh, See, first, before anything, motivation is, it sounds all good. Discipline, the know-how, a pathway, a protocol, and you structure it. That anything
Hmm.
you do, be it your morning chores, to how you go and you work and you perform, or how you go play paddleball, or whatever it is that you do, or you go to the gym, or you go boxing or MMA or whatever. Um, our body is an adaptive mechanism. It is not a, it's kind of not a monument that we just, or a murti, so to speak, where we just say. It responds exactly to the demands we place on it, right? So if I want to pick a cup of a bottle, I pick it up, right? There is mechanism involved in what I do and how I do it. So if I start not working, and if I start treating it like it's old and fragile and it's about to, expire,
Yeah.
that's exactly what's going to happen. But if I was to demand something out of it, be it strength, endurance, performance, I have to feed it at a cellular level. I have to protect and make sure that it recovers properly. Um, and I have to challenge and put myself away from my comfort zone. Right. that ways it will reward me with the quality of vitality and resilience, n- no matter whatever my date of birth on paper says. So don't we should never wait for a perfect moment, the perfect that I'm feeling good now, or have energy, or perfect age to control my health. I don't want to wait a long time. I built my own fountain of youth, so to speak, with protocols through daily discipline, lifestyle. Um, and I never gave myself the permission uh, to tell myself that, my best years uh, are behind me, if that I cannot lead a um, quality life. After a certain age, sure, at 50, I'm still competing. I am not competing at what I was doing at maybe 20, but I'm still competing at a very high level. I get out of bed at 5 in the morning, 4:45 to 5, I get out of bed and I do my daily routine. I work out 6 days a week. Sunday is my day off. And it is there are some days that are a little more challenging than the others, but take that first step. So taking that first step is not, oh, my body's hurting today, maybe I don't go today. That's like kind of procrastinating and putting it on the shelf behind you. I get on it. I start. It's that discipline that has been done again and again and again. Minor changes here and there, additions, subtractions, or both. Um, and you just need to step up, take action, and just get to work. Just do it. No questions asked, no answers given. Just do it. That's how you do it.
Lovely. I know you have said don't get motivated, like motivation is nothing. It's discipline, but I am motivated a little bit. Okay, we are now opening the webinar up for questions. We'll try to answer as many as we can. So feel free to drop all of your questions in the chat box. Meantime, there are people who have already asked few questions. So I want to take those questions. Gautam has asked few really nice questions. Thank you so much, Gautam. We'll start with your question, Gautam, which is, should we prioritize strength training, cardio, HIIT, or mobility and flexibility? Is it better to focus on just one, or combine all of these elements in a balanced routine?
Okay. Really glad for the question, Gautam. So great that we are not looking at only aesthetics. Now, when we have to prioritize everything. I mean, certain specific there are always specific goals, right? But to run a well-oiled machine, so to speak, we have to prioritize everything. If we are not doing mobility and flexibility and proper warm-ups before our training, and a proper uh, stretch out, a static stretch, and cool down post, then we are asking for trouble. And the higher we get in age, I don't like using the word older, so higher we get in age, the more susceptible we are to getting injured. And once we are injured, even a small nagging injury is going to keep us out at least 2 to 3 days, depending on it. Could be one day also. But a serious pull, tear, joint, could be impingement, could be whatever. It will keep us out longer. And then the medical cost after that is also there. So it is important, it is paramount actually to do all of the above. You schedule your days, right? So you are doing 4 days of SNC, you are doing 2 days of cardio. Again, it really depends on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to gain some weight? When I say gain some weight, I don't mean like trying to get super bulky and become a heavyweight, but are you trying to uh, lean down? Because then your schedule of exercise will be accordingly. So, for example, you are, let's say, trying to gain, but after your workout you're doing a lot of cardio. Post your workout, same schedule, same day, then you're gonna lose that thing, the gaining you're trying to do. So they are what comes first, what comes after in certain cases, that you will have to prioritize and schedule. And in your area, if you find a good, reputable coach, you can do your research first, and then you get a schedule from them, and then you put it to use. So mobility is super important. Flexibility is super important. Your warm-ups are super important, pre and post. Obviously, cool down post, not warm-up. So hope that answers your question.
Lovely. So this is a question that has been asked a couple of times, but Sahiti and Venkat Kumar both have asked similar question. So which is how important it is, how important sleep is for overall fitness and longevity, and how to manage it after 50 plus.
If you don't have sleep, you have nothing. Literally, you have nothing. I mean, if the body needs to go into, that moment of total rest. You're not thinking, you're not moving, you know. Um, so a minimum of 7 to 9 hours, depending on how active you are and what your schedules are like. Uh, it is super important that you put into place protocols, and schedules that you for example, you do your work, you come home, you go work out, or whatever it is that you do. Then about a couple hours before your sleep, you turn off your electronic devices, your phones mainly. That's the biggest killer now of sleep. And then you mentally start putting yourself there. There's a lot of good supplements like magnesium, and a good, any not any magnesium or any company, but one with good, composition and mixture of the different kinds. And once your body recovers, then it is able to perform on a regular basis. There might be times where you don't sleep a couple of days for whatever reason, and then you go end up sleeping, but your body's still not at the optimal level that it should be.
True.
Prioritizing recovery is a very important part of anything you do. Let's talk about training. If I am, let's say, working 5 hours, training 5 hours in a day at two different times, if I'm competing and I'm not getting my recovery, whether it be through my supplements, my sleep, my cold plunges, and so on and so forth, uh, then I'm asking for trouble. And let's say you are an active individual of a certain age, and you're not competing, but you're still training. We have a lot of mental stress when we go to work, and this is what controls everything else. So if this is not right, then nothing else is going to work. So pay pay big uh, importance to your recovery in whatever you do. Recovery is not only, recovery is also switching off that laptop, switching off that phone, and just putting it away. Because of the radiation and other factors, the screen and so on and so forth, it keeps you up. You might be lying down and thinking, I'm relaxing, but no, you're not, because this is still working. So recover the proper way, and sleep, your protocols before and after sleep are also very important. So it is 100% paramount that you get good sleep.
I was going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you anyway. So, what percentage of your success today comes from recovery rather than training?
A lot of it. See, in let me go back to 2024, and I competed in the Asians. Post that, I even competed in the World Championship. So my schedule is very hectic, especially in those. Even when I'm in camp for myself, I'm still training athletes at whatever level they're at. So I have to very systematically and carefully work smart through the day. Right. So, and at the end of the day, I got to give this old engine, this matured engine some rest. Right. So it has been a huge part, because, see, the less recovery you have, the more prone to injury you are. And post a certain age, it is bound to happen. It's just waiting to happen. So the more I have put myself into a position where when I'm working, my energy is high. When I'm relaxing, that is high. Like there is nothing else going on. I'm totally 100% focused on recovery. Sleep is super important because of our hectic lifestyles and our demands of our work. Not everybody can switch off that laptop, and whatever other scenarios may be. But
Hmm.
slowly but surely, I got to that point. I have athletes calling me 2 in the morning, Coach, I'm cramping, like nonstop calls. Coach, I'm cramping, like back to back. And what do I do? So, I have to deal with stuff like that, and that cannot be ignored, especially if an athlete is competing. So, but then you find a way around it. Those are things that will happen. Why I said that is because other people may have other issues. But for me personally, my whole recovery protocol, apart from the sleep, is a part of it, and in whole, it's worked wonders for me. Today, I'm going to be very soon. I'll be starting 51, and I don't look my age. I don't move like I'm 50. I My internal organs are running very well. Um, Energy is high. My gut is good. It's all because of the protocols. One thing will not do the magic. It's you put everything together, and it will do wonders for you. It will not happen overnight, so don't expect instant gratification, that you had something today, next day your muscles are popping out. It's not going to be like that, right? So for me, looking younger, it's good. It's a good feeling, but it is a byproduct. How I feel
Right.
internally, how I wake up and I feel when I go work out, when I do my push-ups, when I do my weights, when I hit the punching bag, is how I feel good on the inside, because I know how I feel when I'm going through the exercise, right?
Hmm.
So all in all, it is a big part of it. So sleeping is super important. Just don't do it at work. Otherwise, it's great.
Yeah. So, what would you say? What's your supplement or habit, like, which has genuinely helped you with your energy and recovery? And also, there are some protein questions coming up. A lot of people have asked. So,
All right. So, in terms of supplements, um, I have Longevit, I have Enemin, and I have magnesium. These are my and I have COQ10. These are my four. Sorry, I have one more. DAKE, my vitamins. DAKNE, right? So
lovely.
I've structured, I have consulted a nutritionist, I've run myself through it, I've changed the timing of it, and I've come out with the best version for myself, for what my body demands and how it works out best for me. So these four supplements, 4 or 5 supplements that I take, along with my other protocols, work massively well for me. Once again, morning I start with Longevit, that keeps me very regulated and sorted in every which way. Next comes my NMN, so my day is very demanding. So once I'm out, there is no rest. It's one thing after the other. So I finish my workout, I do my personal trainings, I do my athlete trainings, I come back, I have a couple of hours to kind of recoup, recover. Then after post lunch, get maybe another hour, and then start the same thing for the evening. So for me, my protocol is Longevit in the morning, uh, mid noon is NMN, take post lunch, magnesium. Why this particular magnesium? Again, fine, we are here at Decode Age. That's the supplements I'm taking, but I will tell you, because it comprises of 7 different types of magnesium, which works on different levels on different parts.
Yeah.
So, and for me, why I am so, like I said before, passionate when I speak about it, because it works for me. It is researched well. There is no gimmicks. It is not going to make you well in a day, but I have seen over a duration, with me being consistent with everything, how well it has worked, and it would definitely work well for anybody who does it in a disciplined fashion and on a consistent basis.
That's why Max 7.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So we'll move to our next question. Well, we have had this question about stamina, like how to keep your stamina always on with full energy throughout the day.
Right. Again, so our 24-hour protocol should be right. Our body, when it goes to work, it should work. When it comes home, whatever chores you have to do, that's what it does. When you train, that's what you do. When you rest and recover, that's what you do. So, in order to hit your peak when it comes to stamina, you do all of the above. The type of training you do is super imperative. If if you look at I'll share an example. Powerlifters, they pick massive amounts of weight, right? But you ask them to run 30 meters, and probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
So because why? Because their goals are different, right? What their accomplishments, they are different, and they train a certain way. So for when we need to do specific type of training for a 56 kg fighter as opposed to, let's say, a 93 kg fighter, certain things up to a certain level will be the same. Excuse me. And post that, it has to be per weight category basis. Also, let me just take it to another step. The SNC also has to be, the strength and conditioning also has to be specific to our goals of what we are trying to do. So if I'm a cricketer, my SNC would be different than if I'm a fighter, right? If I'm a boxer where I'm using footwork and a lot of punches, as opposed to a wrestler, it will also be tweaked in a certain way, right? Because the movements are different, the uh, everything is different. The how the referee stops the fight to how you have to compete. It's totally different discipline. So what the requirements are very different. So if you're trying to gain weight, you're going to do something different. If you're trying to lose weight, you're going to try to do something different. Coming back, keep yourself healthy. Be on a good, healthy nutritional protocol. Your training per se will be slightly different, more geared towards intensity and endurance, as opposed to only strength and gain, right? So when you structure that out right, again, I don't know their limitations, or if they have any injuries, if they have any other issues, but more or less, when you go to a center, you meet a coach, a nutritionist, you tell them what your goals are, and they will tell you, okay, these are the protocols you have to follow. So you put yourself into those protocols, and you start building it up, and you will be close to your goal. So I'm making a very general statement because it could be cardio, stamina, it could be strength, it could be endurance, it could be gain, it could be loss, it could be a lot of other things. So the key thing is you find your protocol, your structure, and you follow through with it, and make sure the recovery is a huge part of it, because once you're able to recover, the body is optimal, then you're able to perform again, get to your goal without any disruptions of injury or fatigue or whatever it may be. So
Okay. So on a very lighter note and very important question, I think everybody needed to know in this webinar, which was, who is your favorite UFC fighter and why?
you know I've actually thought a lot about this question. In fact, let me just put this in. We have had two. We have one Indian athlete fighting tonight, or maybe fighting right now as we speak, Pooja Tomar, and Chongren Koren, who's a former student of mine. He's a pro fighter. He used to compete in Matrix Fight Night, which is owned by the Shroff family from Tiger Shroff and Aisha Shroff, and it's actually Aisha Shroff and her daughter Krishna Shroff. So he fought yesterday in Road to UFC. It is a platform where they compete, and the winner gets a contract with the UFC. So I'm really glad you asked that question, and I really wanted to add that in there. And he won his fight against a very credible Japanese fighter. So he's moved on to the semifinals. Anyway, with that being said, my favorite uh, MMA fighter in the UFC is Fedor. Emelianenko. He is from Russia. He competes, or when he competed at heavyweight. He was one of the smaller heavyweights, but and he was not like a muscular, bulky guy. He looked like he did work out. I mean, he put his time in the gym, but he was not all aesthetics, muscles and bulk and all that. But his reason we liked him, he's my favorite fighter rather, is because of how he conducted his training, how he conducted himself in the ring, and so I take that back. He never fought in the UFC, but good enough. So out of the UFC, it was him. Within UFC, it was Shogun Hua. He's from Brazil, and he became a champion in a Japanese promotion, and then he came to US and he competed in the UFC. And again, another guy who is not bulky, doesn't look muscular, but their training regimes were so similar that I mean, they were very effective.
Yeah.
You would see the person and you wouldn't think that he's an athlete, leave alone a fighter. But when he competed at the highest level, and very disciplined, very humble. So Shogun Hua, Mauricio Shogun Hua from Brazil, is my favorite UFC fighter. He's retired since.
Fantastic. So I think we are in the end of today's webinar. So I will take the last question, which is cult favorite. Since you are such a disciplined man and you have spoken about discipline and staying active at every age, what are your thoughts on cheat meal?
On
Cheat meal.
cheat meal, yeah, as long as the cheat meal isn't every day, we are good. So, um,
So as
on a
a MMA fighter and a coach, do you take cheat meals?
absolutely, I do. But there is different levels of cheat meals, and I can't get away with a lot of things that I could, right? I do splurge when it comes to eating the things I shouldn't
Sweets?
eat once in a while. Yes, I do. But see, again, you can't everything in moderation, and at this age, a little less than moderation is also fine. We go totally one direction, we are asking for trouble. So there's nothing wrong with cheat meals or taking a break once in a while, as long as the rest of the time you're on point, because it is directly related with your quality of life. And we cannot take that for granted. We cannot ever take that for granted, because imagine you don't feel good, right? You wake up, you feel sluggish. Your day is not good. You cannot perform at work. You cannot be energetic when you're home with your family. You could be the kid or with your kids and your wife or your significant other. So, all in all, there's nothing wrong with cheat meals. Just be very watchful of what you do, when you do it, how many times you do it. Everybody has a different goal. Now, if I was trying to compete and I have to make a certain weight, obviously during camp, I maybe once a month, if I have a 3 month camp, maybe once or twice or maximum three times in that 3 month period, I would have a cheat meal, right?
Mm.
Other times, maybe every couple of weeks, maybe once I could, maybe 3 weeks I could. It really depends from person to person. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it, but the rest of the times you got to be disciplined. It can't be cheat meal, cheat meal, cheat meal. 1 week of I'm going to go lift some weights, drink some hot water, eat some salads, and next day checking my weight. Did I lose any? No, it won't work like that. So it's
Right.
okay to do your cheat meals. Don't get me wrong, but the rest of everything that comes along with it, it's a whole package. Make sure that works out. Then you are sorted.
Wonderful. So I'll ask you one last question. And before I do that, I know everybody here wants that they have this biggest question of like, where do we begin? So we have worked with Coach Vishal to accumulate a very nice stack, and you will receive it shortly after in your registration email. And you will also get a code from Coach Vishal just in case you need any discounts, you can look into it. And coming back to the webinar, Coach Vishal, this is my last question to you, which is, what are your thoughts and opinions on biohacking and modern longevity science?
These are very great options, if you will. The thing is, as we progress in life, new technologies uh, emerge, and it makes things more simpler, more convenient. But it also brings in better supplements, if you will, or other options that kind of get you to your goals faster, get you a healthier lifestyle. But for that, you have to really, it shouldn't be a case of trial and error, because the error could be significant and could damage you, right? So, your if you fill yourself with the proper knowledge, and you know what you're doing with every emerging supplement or supplements, it is, or technologies or biohacking, for whatever reasons, it is super, super, super important that you understand, not just take notes of the middle and the end, but understand the whole progression and process. Once you understand the process and you're disciplined in executing that process, they will work like nothing else. It is it's my case is the only case I can speak of, because of the significant positive changes I've had, and performance on a consistent basis. So these are things that are very important. We should not only be concerned with one aspect of life, we should be very well informed. Once we are very well informed, uh, and we put our time towards understanding, what is biohacking, how does it work, what are these supplements, what do they do for my body, then what does my body require. You have your blood profile, you know where your deficiencies are. When you get the whole picture, don't really start popping pills. I'm not saying if there's an emergency your body requires it, that is different. But on a normal basis, when you're fine, when you want to get better in terms of lifestyle, be more healthier, be younger, you have to make sure you research, you understand the process, be disciplined, and follow the process. There is nothing like it. So tomorrow something comes in the market, it could be a farce, and take this pill and you're going to look so many years younger. No, it doesn't work like that, right? I don't look like I did when I was 25, 30, but I definitely feel close to it. I perform when I am in camp, and I perform in training, and I go perform in competitions at the age of 50. I'm still feeling I'm not slow, I'm not sluggish anymore, right? So that is because I informed myself. I understood what it was. I understood what is right for me and what isn't right for me. Every supplement in the market isn't right for you. It not required, or whatever the case may be. But these are things you should definitely give yourself knowledge about, understand it, understand the process, and go with it.
Wow, perfect. Thank you so much, Coach Vishal, for such an insightful session. Um, Thank you, everybody who are here in this webinar right now. Before we go, I just want to inform that our community links are there in the chat box. Whoever is not part of the community, I want to tell you that Coach Vishal is also there. Just in case you have any other question left, you can definitely just ping and ask. We are a very close-knit community which we talk about longevity, health, about every aspect of longevity, to be very honest, and healthy aging. So, again, thank you so much, Coach Vishal, for giving us your valuable time.
Sincerely appreciate. May I just say one thing?
Yes.
For everybody who's on here, I really appreciate that you took the step to be here. Uh, Again, I'm coming back to, I'd like to reiterate again, our health, how our body feels, is our responsibility and nobody else's. Be be the change in in your immediate family and community, and see how infectious it can get in a positive manner. trust the process and be happy and be healthy, or be healthy and be happy. Works both ways. But just do it and do it the right way. And anything I've said today is apart from anything else, is because of personal experience. I am not demeaning any other product, anything else, but I know what has worked for me and has
Hmm.
worked very well. And to anybody not here, but anybody who'd like to challenge it, I would ask them to come and do what it is that I do and see how they can perform. So for me, it has worked wonders, and I guarantee you it will for you as well. Just make sure that you understand the process, you trust the process, and you work the process.
I think I have no words left after this. So, on that note, thank you everybody for joining today's webinar. Thank you so much, Coach Vishal.
Thank you.
Everybody, bye.
Bye bye.